I think there's a lot of beauty in like just honoring yourself. And I think when you're authentic to that, people can see that. And I think as a society, we just need to try harder to meet people with kindness, even if it's not our aesthetic or if we don't agree with it. We're all still just people. We all still struggle. We're all still trying to make the most of this life.
Esperance Lumineska Fuerzina is officially a 2-time Guinness World Record holder. She has the most tattoos and body modifications of any woman in history.
I chuckle a little bit because I say I got 2 Guinness World Records for just being myself. Not to say that didn't come with like a lot of pain and effort and even sacrifice to get to this point, but it was never for the point of like, I want recognition or I want a record. I was just being myself and expressing myself.
99.8% of her body is tattooed, and she has 89 body modifications.
It wasn't really until someone pointed out that they're like, I think you've already surpassed the Guinness World Record for tattoos and modifications, and I hadn't even considered that I would be eligible.
The 36-year-old's physical appearance and lifestyle now is vastly different from her upbringing.
I grew up in a pretty conservative family, so that was sort of what I got used to. And I was an officer in the Army for a number of years, and then kind of initially thought that I was going to be career Army. Sort of realized that maybe that wasn't what I wanted for me in life, and started to transition away from that. You know, there are tattoos in the military, certainly, but like you have to kind of keep it hidden for a long time. So then once I got out, I just went for it.
Neska knew early in life that she was unconventional.
I think when I was 18, so about a year into being in the Army, when I was home on leave, my mom took me to a makeup counter at the mall and had my makeup done and bought me the makeup they recommended. And she was like, you need this so you can find a husband, and you need to find a husband to like be worthy, and all of these like sort of antiquated ideas of like gender or worth. And it's just like, this is crazy. Like, it didn't resonate, this like societal norm of having to like look a certain way or appear perfect or conceal my pimples. Like, that has never been me, and I never liked having that pushed on me.
Years later, her self-expression through body art began.
I got my first tattoo on my hip, and I knew straight away getting that tattoo that I absolutely love tattoos. And from then it just expanded. My second tattoo was like my entire right side, and then my third ended up covering the first tattoo and was even bigger than the second tattoo. And then from there, I went more to the idea of like covering body parts. So it would be like an entire arm and the other arm or the leg. But then I was sort of realizing that I had a mismatch of styles, like they weren't cohesive. Several years after that, I decided to kind of do a second layer on the bodysuit to bring a layer of cohesivity to it. And I sort of just continued that journey of moving towards more cohesiveness to my tattoos. Like, the healing is quite intense, like especially if you do 2 days in a row. Or one time I was quite silly and I did 5 weeks of 2 8 to 10 hour sessions each week, back to back. And we would do that each week for 5 weeks. And we got an insane amount done. But by the end of it, like, it was like I could hardly walk to the bathroom. And I don't regret it. You know, I'm very happy with the end result. And like, I guess part of me is also motivated by seeing what the body is capable of with pushing myself physically, but also it's a mental thing.
She began modifying her body in 2014.
My segue sort of into body modification started with suspension. So suspension is essentially where you hang from hooks in your skin, which also is another process of meditation for me, like a process of letting go. And it can be quite blissful if you're able to sort of transcend the pain. So a lot of those are piercing, some of those are like, you know, down below. So we're gonna leave those to the imagination. So we started with my left arm On this arm alone, there's 8 implants, which we did in 2 sessions. These chest implants here. I got 8 implants in my legs. I also have these like large spiders in my ribs here. I also got some in Guatemala, which was the forearm ones. And then most recently, these ones are about 2 weeks old now, my upper arm ones. And then I guess my ears, you can see the hole. So I had my conches removed in Croatia, the top part of my ears cropped or removed, and my lobes removed. That was done in Texas, the entire forehead. It's one huge piece. The bio wires you see on the side here on both sides, these ones are 2 weeks old, so they'll start popping more like these ones. And I just took out the sutures a few days ago, so those are the newest exciting ones that aren't even in Guinness yet.
Neska's eyes, gums, tongue, and teeth are also modified.
One side is purple and one is black, so the black is easier to see. And then my my inner lip has been injected, and my gums. So the gums, my gums are black. The scleral tattooing is, it's more psychological. It's the fear of that needle going in your eye, but then it's also, you need to be able to fixate on a point and hold your eye completely still when you feel the needle, as you feel the pressure. It's more of a pressure than a pain, I would say, but the psychological part of it is very intimidating.
The process of getting implants is a painful one.
So essentially what they do is they make an incision with a scalpel, and then they create a pocket with a blunter object. Once they do that, they put the implant in, they suture it shut, and then usually you keep the sutures for about 10 to 14 days. You take those out, and then you're pretty much set. You're completely awake for it. Different artists have different techniques for helping with the pain.
She travels worldwide for procedures and even does some herself.
My face is very detailed. On that alone, I've spent more than 50 hours on my face. So on my body, which is now on layer 3 or 4 in many places, hundreds of hours at this point. I don't regret any of the experiences I've been through. I've learned something through all of them. All of them help shape the person that I am today. I have something permanent, and a lot of people spend money on things that last for a few hours.
Occasionally, Neska deals with infections.
I do want to emphasize, never be afraid to go to the doctor, because in some cases, people do need proper medical care, like antibiotics, for instance, and that can be life-saving sometimes when something like an infection happens. I think at times it's important to recognize the body does have limits. An infection that I had on my arm, that was a matter of technique. With that one in particular, it just never fully closed. I've been denied appropriate medical care because of their prejudice about what I've done. And I try to explain it to them, but I've been finding, even if I show pictures and I show medical references or explicitly describe what it is, because it is medical grade silicone, they still don't fully understand it. Even aside from the prejudice, doctors just need a bit more information about modifications.
Sometimes, depending on what she's getting done, it can be awkward.
I am so ticklish, I cannot sit through a pedicure. So with getting my feet tattooed, I was like, look, when you touch my feet, like with your hand, aside from the tattoo machine, I need you just to grab it. Don't be gentle about it. Otherwise, I might accidentally kick you in the face, because I am very ticklish. So that was something I had to consider before getting tattooed in those places. Also, the same thing, maybe a little more embarrassing, the same thing with my butt. Some of the downstairs areas tattooed, I happened to them in Serbia. And it made for some rather funny tattoos. It was also nice to know that like I didn't have to necessarily run into them at the grocery store every week. I think that's like, yeah, another part of it, like embrace the awkwardness, but also just like let it go. A lot of it, like it's like let go of the pain, let go of the awkwardness, try to let go of the ticklishness. Like I try to embrace a lot of this process of like just letting go in my life.
Because 0.2% of her body isn't covered yet, Neska says she's not done.
I don't feel done with tattoos or modifications, but that's not necessarily be like, oh, I have to get this last percent, or I have to one up somebody, or that I'm trying to incite a competition. I'm just not done.
Neska knows she's different, but wants people to embrace differences.
I think people find a lot of comfort in putting people in boxes. So when they can't put you in a box, it almost seems affronting to some people. And maybe that seems like an attack to maybe their ideology or what they believe, which in no way was I trying to make anyone uncomfortable. I personally feel more comfortable looking like this, and I'm sorry for, well, I'm not sorry actually, like I mean no hate towards anyone. I only try to approach the world with kindness, and I wish everyone would do the same, but I recognize that it's a path towards approaching the world with kindness, and not everyone's there yet. For me, not that it's always easy, like dealing with people's reactions to how I look, but it is so liberating just to not have to adhere to any of those societal norms about beauty and just be myself. And I mean, I wish that same blessing upon everyone, just to be free to be yourself. And I'm not saying it needs to be anywhere, looking like this, but, just be yourself. And that's beautiful.
If you don't like her appearance, Neska says that's fine, but just be polite.
If you see someone with a lot of tattoos, there's no need to undress them with your questions. Like, I'm still a person, I still deserve the same respect, and this is an invitation to all of that. So just approach people with kindness. Like, nobody needs your judgments or what box you want to put them in placed upon them. Like, let everyone just be themselves, and that's beautiful.
For Inside Edition Digital, I'm Andrea Swindall.